Hello, welcome to episode 55 of Your Ultimate Comeback. I'm your co-host, Brad Davidson, and I'm here with Raquel. Raquel, how are you?
I'm good. Back in the studio.
Back in the studio.
Yep.
Your background was a little nicer last
know.
week, especially with your husband dancing in the background. That was still my favorite part of that episode.
Great. Like I said, don't encourage him.
Well, I love that he wouldn't let me tell him, and he still did it anyway.
Oh, yeah, because that's his gig, that sort of thing.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Perfect. How was Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was good. You know, it's always a little frenetic when you've got to balance a couple different locations that you're going. But, you know, I think we were talking about earlier how this time of year always starts to feel a little chaotic.
It does. It's like we talked about, like it feels like the walls are closing in on you. There's so much you have to get done.
Yep.
It's overwhelming sometimes.
Right. With, you know, and I know you've got your clients are doing different things and you're going to have to manage that. You've probably got some people that are coming in, I would think.
Yeah. I got some athletes coming in. Some clients leaving for holiday.
Right.
Yeah.
So managing that.
My schedule is very, very different for the next probably 2 months.
Right.
But I'm pretty used to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, this time of year just feels very overwhelming. There's not enough time.
I agree.
You know, kids, all their sports stuff are piling up on each other, and it's like, oh, this is supposed to be holiday season, and there's not much downtime for family anymore.
No, or even downtime period.
Yeah, for a period. Yeah.
I also feel like everybody's putting their Christmas tree up on October 31st at midnight.
I pulled mine out of storage.
Seriously, it's wild.
Yeah.
All the people have the Christmas lights up. It's like, whoa. That too starts to feel stressful, which is weird because it's not a competition.
No.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
I don't know. So, but I totally feel you on all of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's crazy, but it's part of it. Mm-hmm. It's not supposed to be stressful though. This is supposed to be like a time of family and fun and love and all that stuff. And
not something else adding to the stress that is part of our demise, right?
And just more things to the to-do list.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm the type of person, when I make a to-do list, it drives me crazy because I get everything done but what's on the to-do list.
Oh, really?
It is so hard for me.
I actually write it down.
Oh, I just have to schedule things in my calendar. Uh-huh. Otherwise, if I put them in a list of things to do, I for some reason never.
Really?
It's the weirdest thing ever.
No, I get a big satisfaction from crossing something out.
Oh, I don't. I just sit there and it grows and grows and grows. So I've learned, Tom Ferry taught me this. Okay. If you don't schedule it, it will not get done. So I put it all into my schedule. He showed me a schedule one time, and it's like just layered with all his to-dos, meeting everything.
Is it like, does he put eat, food kind of?
Yeah, it's everything is put into his schedule. Right. Like work out, eat, answer this email. It's all there. Yeah. Okay. So that's helped me a lot.
I bet. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's weird, but I need a lot of structure, or I don't do well.
You almost need a personal assistant.
I do. Yeah.
You kind of have one.
Kind of,
Vanessa helps you a lot.
Yeah, she does. Helps me a ton. So that's nice, especially with the weight room and all that stuff. So that she keeps that really well structured, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah.
Well, so today we thought we've had 2 interesting topics come in from listeners that we thought we'd talk about. The first one is someone that's been listening and they're like, look, I've never done this before. Like, where does someone who's never focused on their fitness, their health, where do they start?
Great question.
It's a great question. And it's one that you got to be careful with. Mm-hmm. You see a lot of people in the new year make this mistake is they jump in full bore.
Oh, yeah.
They go all in, like they're going to train every day. They're going to eat perfect. They're going to do everything perfect.
Right.
And we see how well that works. Mm-hmm. It doesn't.
No.
And I tell you, I never start my clients off like this. Every once in a while, I'll get like a CEO, man or woman type that's very structured. Yeah. And they want the extremes.
Yeah.
And if you don't give them the extremes, they won't do it. But for most of us, myself included, you have to layer it.
Yeah.
You have to kind of be honest with yourself. In my opinion, be honest with yourself. What can I realistically do now and fully commit to it for the next 6 months? Right. And that's where I typically tell people to start. Mm-hmm. And it should be, in my opinion, it should be something pretty I'm going to go exercise every day. It's not the place to start.
No.
That is probably the hardest thing to do and the easiest thing to give up. Right. Because you're going to get sore, you're going to get frustrated, it's going to drive your appetite. There's so many studies now showing that exercise is not the answer to weight loss. It's just not, because it drives hunger, and most people don't know how to control the hunger. Right. They eat the wrong things at the wrong time. And so what you'll see is actually in these studies, people actually put weight on when they use only exercise to drive weight loss. Mm-hmm. So I like people to focus in on other simple things like eat enough protein. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be, 1 gram per pound of body weight. Yeah. It's just, okay, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you got to have 1 palm size of protein on your plate. Mm-hmm. That's an example. Right. if you just have never started anywhere, you've never focused on anything, that's a great place to start. Just one palm size of protein on your plate for 3 meals a day.
Well, you know what, to that point, when you think about standard American diet and what people typically do, and this might be part of the issue, right, is they're eating Cheerios for breakfast. Yeah. They're eating oatmeal for breakfast. They're eating the cinnamon rolls that, Aunt Judy made or whatever. So that's all carbs. That's all carbs. And carbs are fun. Carbs are yummy. And they are big breakfast foods.
Yeah.
So I think it's really hard to switch for a lot of people to move into that protein. Protein is what needs to be in the forefront for my breakfast. Or there's the people that don't want to eat breakfast.
Yeah.
That's also challenging.
Yeah, super challenging. And it's funny because people will say all the time, like, well, that's not a breakfast food.
True. I've heard that.
But
yes.
It's funny because our bodies don't know the difference between breakfast, lunch, and dinner foods. That was the marketing scheme.
For sure.
To say that these foods are breakfast
Waffles,
foods.
pancakes.
These foods are lunch foods.
Yes.
Yeah. So no, they're not breakfast foods, lunch foods, dinner foods.
If you want to have a hamburger at breakfast, 100%.
Cool. Yes. Yeah. You want to have a steak at breakfast, great. Like,
oh my gosh, I have to interrupt you while we're talking about food.
Why?
Guess what?
What?
Guess what happened when I got into from LAX Monday night?
What?
We were starving, 11 o'clock at night. I had my first In-N-Out burger ever.
Oh my goodness. Hey.
Seriously.
Welcome to the dark side.
Right?
Yeah.
It was so fun. Quinn was sad because she was already going to bed. She was so tired. But my son goes, Mom, you got to do it. You got to do it. It's been like this big thing because I never had it because growing up, before I stopped eating red meat, there was an In-N-Out. We were Noggles. Do you remember Noggles?
No, I don't.
You don't know Noggles?
They didn't have that where I grew up.
Okay. I forgot you were up north.
Yeah.
So anyway, there was no In-N-Out burger. By the time In-N-Out burger was near my area, I wasn't eating red meat anymore. And when I began again, everyone's like, oh my God, you got to have an In-N-Out burger. And I'm like, why? But you know what? It was good.
It's the one fast food place.
It really was good.
Eat.
I had the protein style with the and I had no sauce and I had pickles instead of tomatoes, but it was yummy.
Yeah.
And especially when you've been on a flight for 6 hours and you haven't eaten, it was delicious. But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that just made me think of it when we're talking about foods, times, and places and all that.
Yeah. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, I'm in the club now.
Yes, you are. The dark side.
Yes, exactly.
That's so hot. Yeah. In-N-Out's really good.
Yeah. Well, if you're in a pinch, right? That would you tell someone that? That's a great question. Okay, so here's someone that's never started a program and they're like, oh my gosh, my only option. I'm on this road trip is to go there or whatever. You can make it work, right?
I think In-N-Out's a good option. El Pollo Loco's a good option.
Oh yes, Chipotle.
Chipotle's a good option.
Yeah.
Those are kind of when I used to travel on the road a lot for work. I'd always try to find hotels that were near one of those.
Okay.
Because I feel like you can eat pretty decent at those places.
Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, In-N-Out. If I'm a burger fan.
Yeah.
I found In-N-Out as the one burger I can have that doesn't destroy me.
Yeah. No, I didn't feel terrible the next day.
Yeah. I've never felt bad after eating In-N-Out.
That's good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so a little aside. Sorry about that. I just want everyone to know.
That's awesome.
Big thing over here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So some other ideas on places people can start is I see a lot of people really struggle with water intake.
Oh yeah.
And water is really powerful. I think protein's really powerful, and water is really powerful. Yeah. So let's say, okay, I'm not ready to focus on my diet yet. Okay, well let's focus on drinking half your body weight in ounces of water a day. And I like people to put a little pinch of sea salt in there so they get the minerals with the water so they can absorb it. But by doing that, you're gonna basically start preventing things like dehydration. You'll start improving blood flow. It's been shown to speed up the metabolism a little bit. Helps with sleep, helps with detoxification. Yeah. It's like a powerhouse thing that you can do that's super easy, and it'll give you energy pretty quickly.
That makes sense. Why do you think, when you grew up, were you drinking a lot of water? I was not.
I don't think I was either. I grew up on a dairy farm. We drink milk like it was.
Okay, but I think about kids, and they weren't. That's a new thing. I feel like.
Yeah,
for us to stay hydrated properly.
I mean, we did a lot of Kool-Aid. That had a lot of water in it.
The traditional kind that you tore the packet.
Okay, all right. And added the sugar. And my mom wasn't looking. It was 2 cups of sugar versus 1. Yeah.
Oh my.
I remember. So we did a lot of milk.
Yeah.
A lot of Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Tang. We did a lot of Tang.
I remember Tang.
Yeah.
Yes.
So. Okay. We didn't do a ton of soda until I got older.
Okay.
I got really into soda like when I was in high school.
Really?
Because I learned that I was always the skinny kid. I wanted to put size on.
Okay.
And so it was always about calories. I'm not an idiot. I started looking in what has the most calories.
Yeah.
And soda had a ton of calories.
Yeah.
So I would like slam like a 64-ounce soda, like 2 a day for extra calories.
Oh, man.
And my mom has this picture up in our house. I'm 18. And I'm like the same way I am now. My face is super fat, like zits.
Really?
Yeah, like super inflamed.
Ooh. So not best case scenario.
No, not best scenario at all. But I was like, back then I thought I was all jacked and looked really good.
But also it's making sure we're hydrated. A lot of things can happen if we are not, right? We can get headaches. We can.
Yeah, fatigue. Yeah, blood pressure issues, resting heart rate, like all kinds of things can be disrupted by dehydration.
Yeah.
You're more likely to cramp more often.
Yeah.
You're not detoxifying as well, so you could have sluggish liver issues. All kinds of things come into play. That's why I think it's a really powerful, simple place to start. You want to do things that will drive more energy.
Yes.
So like having protein, breakfast, lunch, and dinner will stabilize blood sugar and give you a really good place to start. You'll have better energy. You'll rebuild the body better. The protein breaks down into amino acids, which feeds the body, and the body repairs itself and rebuilds everything you can imagine with it. Hydration is another really key element. You drink more water, you're going to have more energy. That's why I like those type of options more than going to working out, because working out will suck your energy and make you more tired. And if you don't have enough protein intake coming in, you're not drinking enough water. You're not gonna. Exercise can actually be kind of dangerous. So I like to start people off with things like that. My other third thing I love to do is to get people to walk every day.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful tool that will help with weight loss, control blood sugar, bring down the stress hormones. And lots of movement, not exercise, but movement is really the key that's been shown to drive more of a caloric burn and more potential for weight loss. It also drives energy.
Yeah.
So I tell people that have never been into this, one of those three is the best place to start.
Yeah.
And then kind of start with one. Get used to doing it. Add the next one. Get used to doing it. Add the next one. Get used to doing it. Now all of a sudden you're in a nice trajectory of improving your lifestyle.
Yes.
And from there, it becomes much easier than to go and add like exercise or more structured nutrition.
Yes.
Because you have the foundation in place to drive better energy.
Yeah. So you're not just jumping in the deep end.
Yeah. You're not just jumping in the deep end. You're not throwing yourselves to the wolves.
Right.
By the time you get to that point where you're ready to jump in the deep end, you're going to have a nice foundation. So you'll handle it better, you'll recover better, and you actually get results from it.
Yeah.
But if those three things aren't in place and you try to jump into exercise, it's going to end quickly and poorly.
Right. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Because you're grabbing the Celsius and you're having the coffee, black
your
coffee.
Energy's tanking. So you're going for more dehydrating things, more fake energy.
That's a valid point, fake energy.
Yeah, fake energy. Yeah, people are really good at managing energy through caffeine and alcohol.
Yes. But why do you say alcohol? Because alcohol is a depressant.
Well, yeah, because they need the alcohol to help themselves fall asleep at night.
I see. I got you.
Because they're so caffeinated that they're kind of in a spike. The brain can't calm down. The alcohol will help calm them down.
See.
Yeah, so it's a calming mechanism.
Got it.
So it brings energy down. So
for those that are drinking coffee throughout the entire day.
Yeah, coffee, caffeine, lots of stress, lots of anxiety. The energy substrate of choice to calm down is alcohol.
Got it.
Yeah, you hear it all the time. Like I need a drink at night to calm down.
Yeah.
Because alcohol is very good at doing that.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Anything to add to that?
No, I just think those are great suggestions because, a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
It's this is the time of year where people are going overboard and going crazy. And then they, like we talked about, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago, about, that all of a sudden, you're 20 pounds heavier than you were at the beginning of the season. And you're like, okay, I got to go do something. So that's when the gym memberships skyrocket and everybody goes all in for 2 weeks and they're exactly what you said. They're trying to work out every day and they're this and they're that. And then they feel like crap.
Well, what's great with these three things is you can start them right now and they will not disrupt the parties, the holidays, anything like that. You can have your protein, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can drink more water and you can walk every day and still go to your parties, still have all the meals. But you're preparing yourself for a better start to the new year that way.
Yes. Do you like 10,000 steps? Do you think that's a good place for people?
I think it's a great one. If you don't exercise a lot, it's a perfect one.
Okay.
If you exercise pretty regularly, you want to hit 7,000 a day.
Oh, okay.
Joel Jamieson kind of came out with a lot of data points showing that the more someone exercises, the more you have to watch the step counts they do, because that can be enough to push them over the edge and inhibit recovery. So if you don't exercise a lot, 10,000 steps a day is a great goal. If you do exercise a lot, cut it back to more like 7,000 steps a day. Okay.
I don't really focus on it. I just kind of notice what happens, and I'm usually between 7 and 11.
Perfect. Yeah. I'm the same way, but you and I have those jobs. We're on our feet. Sure. We're moving around a lot.
Sure.
So so I'm always somewhere between 7 and 12,000.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Awesome.
Perfect.
I think those are great tips. Yeah. Great tips.
And then when it comes to exercise, like if you're looking to add that in, and you haven't done a lot of exercise before, I would suggest things like what you teach, like yoga lattes, yoga type based things.
In the heat, I don't know if that's what they want to jump into.
It's better than an extreme hit training class.
Oh, for sure. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I like the stuff you do, and I like weightlifting, or Pilates instead of yoga lattes.
Okay.
Like something that's not as high intense.
Yeah.
To jump from nothing to high intensity is really, really hard on the body. So I would suggest look at lifting weights and looking to things like yoga lattes, Pilates, yoga, things like that aren't as extreme of an energy output scenario.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
A good place to get your feet wet. So
Yeah. And progress over time.
Right.
And the first time I did one of your classes, the last 15 minutes of class, I laid on my mat.
True story.
Yeah, I was embarrassed, but it was tough. But
no,
I knew,
would never be upset with someone for doing that.
Well, no. I'm just letting people know, like, you don't have to, like, do what you can.
No, absolutely.
And like my first class of yours, I knew the last 15 minutes, it's either I lay on the mat and relax or I was going to crash.
Yeah. Well, I had a guy, pass out.
Oh, yeah. That would have been me.
Good. Nah. I don't think so. You were smart. You were smart about it.
Yeah, 100%. That's kind of my advice to people is be smart. If you feel like it's not going so well, don't push yourself through it because you're embarrassed. Because here I am, a fitness guy.
Yeah.
I just did a new stimulus I'd never done, and it was a shock to my system.
Right. Yeah.
So I listened to my body. It's it's different.
With heat, it's different.
Yeah, it's just a way different style of training than I used to do. I love it. I'm a huge fan of it. It was a shock to my system the first time.
Right.
Just like someone that's used to doing that, they come to a workout with me and the weights, it's a shock to their system.
Exactly.
But that's good.
Yeah.
But you just have to kind of monitor and know, okay, when's enough type of a thing.
Yeah.
Perfect. The other question that came through, I thought this was a really interesting one, is that, we talk, it's your ultimate comeback. We talk a lot about comeback stories, but it's very fitness oriented.
Yes.
And, some people are like, well, how is that really a whole comeback scenario? And I thought that was interesting because yes, it is about comebacks and we love to share comebacks. And, I'm so excited next week. Hopefully Garrett Bowles is in here from the Denver Broncos.
You just jinxed it.
Yeah. I just talking to him earlier.
Okay, good.
His comeback story is phenomenal.
Yes.
But why we always talk about fitness is because I feel from my own personal experience and from like people I've worked with that are coming back from things, fitness is like an easy thing to focus on because it benefits whoever it is and it's something that is controllable.
Yeah.
I use my experience. My life was so out of control. Like I had no control of all this stuff happening in my life. And the only thing I could grasp onto a control was my fitness and how I was taking care of myself. And the more I talk to people that have come through like comeback stories, and so often that's the case, is fitness is something they can do. They can kind of put a stake in the ground and say, okay, all this shit may be falling apart.
Right.
My whole life is fucked up, but I am going to control how I take care of myself.
Yes.
And to make sure that I stay strong. And I think when you build strength, you build confidence, you build resilience, and it helps in that fight of coming back. Now, with that said, like most, there were times in the middle of it, like, fuck it, I give up. I don't care anymore, and I'm just going to go screw up. And and I see a lot of people in those states make choices they just give up and say, fuck it, what's the point of caring anymore? I'm going to go do this and just have a good time and not think about anything. And I did a lot of those, and that's part of it. But through all of that, I still had this thing of I consistently worked out. I drank my water. I did my best to eat. Eating was hard for me because I just didn't have much hunger. Yeah. And sleeping was hard for me. Yeah. So if I just had a bad night's sleep, I would still work out, just way less intense. If I had a good night's sleep, I would lift weights. It was just something that I felt like I could control. And I see so often people in that state of their life just blows up in front of them. They don't even know where to start. Yeah. Yeah. And it took me a couple of years to figure out, like, where do I even start with all this? Because as soon as I would start to get a little bearing, something else would happen. And then it was like start all over. And they're not easy. Comebacks are not easy.
Right. But I also think it doesn't have to be this. Your situation was definitely huge and impactful, but it doesn't have to be that. A comeback can be a small thing. It could be going from this person that asked about not doing, like, where do I start, to now I'm improving myself. That's a comeback.
That's a comeback. Yeah, it's a huge comeback. Yeah.
And it's in so many different shapes and forms. It doesn't have to just be one. Yeah. So I think that's what I like about what we talk about, we're talking about all the things that are affecting and impacting how we live better, longer.
100%.
All the things. And it's not just one thing.
Yeah.
It's so many different things.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Life is tough. Life is. I think it's a constant marathon of comebacks.
Yes, exactly.
Some are huge traumatic ones. Some are I got too stressed out, too busy. I let go of myself. Some, there's I lost my job today.
Right. It's a divorce. It's the death of a parent. It's I lost my job. Whatever.
Yeah.
Those are comebacks when you're coming through it on the other side better than you were.
Yes, I agree with you. Mm-hmm. And I even like from my own experience, it's kind of like ebbs and flows.
Absolutely.
It's never like this perfect trajectory.
No.
I mean, I'll even be honest. I'm coming off of volleyball season and football season in the same season with my kids, and it was pure chaos.
Yeah.
Trying to work all day, get to the practices, get to the games. I did a horrible job taking care of myself through all that. So it's like now, okay, like the last few weeks, volleyball ended, and then football is coming close to an end, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay, I'm getting 20-minute workouts in here and there throughout the week, which is it's a win for me. Mm-hmm. And I'm sad. I'm not sad, like not embarrassed. It is what it is. Part of what I did was I just stopped doing much training because I didn't have the time to do it.
Right.
I took those extra downtimes to take naps, to go for walks, to rest, just to try to keep myself sane.
Right.
And now, so like that's an example of I survived.
A little mini comeback for you.
It's a little mini comeback.
Yep.
I mean, that's not a tough time. It's a high stress time where I want my kids to do great. I want to fully support them. Of course. So in that experience, I got to back off taking care of myself a little bit, and I got to just take care of myself in a different way so I can support them.
Yeah.
But now, boom. So now that's over, and so now I'm kind of creating more resilience. So the next time something like that happens, I can resilient a little bit more. Yes. I had a great. It's a sad story, but a great story. A client of mine just had to have heart surgery. Thank God he was super fit. We trained a ton. He was super got put on a lot. He's older.
Okay.
I think.
Was this a surprise surgery?
Surprise surgery.
Oh wow.
Yeah. With him, he was super fit, ate perfect. I mean, like crazy well conditioned. When he hired me, he's like, look, I want to put muscle on. I want to drop body fat. So we were focused on all that, and he would periodically have his labs done, and decided to get a calcification score done. And all of a sudden, it was like genetically he had an issue there.
Wow.
And then before you know it, had to have a big heart surgery. And he texted me, he's like, hey, because of you, I survived this.
Wow.
I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't really do a whole lot. And he's like, no, the amount of muscle you put on me helped me fight through this.
Yeah.
And we're already talking about him coming back and getting back after it.
That's great.
And so it's like part of the whole thing of taking care of yourself around all this is to have the resilience that is needed to survive when shit hits the fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I use a simple example that's a good example with me. And then I use another example that was a traumatic example. But because this individual had taken such great care of himself, genetically didn't go his way, but he was able to fight it and had the resilience to survive it and then keep going.
Right.
So that's why there's so much focus on fitness and health and taking care of ourselves.
Yes.
Because I think in reality, that's what life is. It's just a series of stressors and traumas that we have to be resilient to.
Right. And we only get one vessel.
Yeah.
And we got to take good care of the vessel.
Yeah. And I think the base of resilience is physicality. Mm-hmm. Yes, you have to have the mental, emotional, all that stuff as well. Mental fortitude, but you develop mental fortitude by taking care of yourself physically, because it's a challenge.
Right. Yeah.
And the better you do that in the good times, the more resilient you are going to be in the bad times.
Yes. Because we're all going to have them.
Yeah.
We're all going to have them.
And I came across a quote that I loved the other day that said, "Character is built in the dark times," and it's just the truth.
Yep, it is.
Like I wouldn't go back and I would love for my dad to still be here,
of course,
right? But
of course.
When I went through my stuff, like I wouldn't go back and change any of it because I like so much more who I am today than I was before all the trauma happened.
Right.
Now, I would love to have my dad still here. Like,
sure.
But that's part of life. You don't get to pick and choose that. But
no.
Even losing him built a lot more resilience in me and a lot more character in me over time. Because he was, for the majority of my whole life was the guy I went to and I didn't know what to do.
Yeah. But you were that for your kids, which is amazing.
Yeah, I want to be that for my kids.
You are.
Because I felt so lucky to have that with him.
Yeah.
So, but now that he's gone, I got to figure it out on my own.
Sure.
And that's caused a lot of growth.
Of course.
Because I didn't have I called them my sage. I don't have my sage anymore to go back to and say, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Here's what's going on. Like, help. Like, and a lot of times it's just like, just to hear him say, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I know you'll make the right choice.
Awesome.
Just hearing that back in the day was enough to okay, I'll keep going. Yeah. So, but I truly believe that resiliency is key.
Oh yeah.
And none of us are going to escape life without going through hardships.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And I'm sure the majority of our listeners have already been through a number of them.
Yep.
Not even a majority of them, all of them.
Yeah.
We've all been through shit.
Something, yeah.
Yeah. Because I watch my kids go through hardships already, and they're young.
Yeah.
So,
but you're right. The comeback is a lot about building us better so that we can deal with all this with resilience and grace and come out the other side.
Yeah.
Landing on our feet, so to speak.
Yeah, and then building
or
from
if
there.
not, you fall down and you're getting back up quicker.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of, we've never really talked about it.
No, you're right.
When that question came through, I was like, oh, that's a good point. Why? And it's like, oh, well, here's why.
Right.
So I'm glad we kind of threw that out there.
No, fantastic.
And that's why I'm always so like, people think fitness and health is all about how I look. Vanity.
No.
Great. Fine. But there's such a deeper purpose for it. And it is this resilience to handle the shit of life.
For sure.
And bounce back from it and keep fighting through it.
Yeah. And especially, I think it's different once you have kids.
Yes.
I mean, I felt differently about fitness before. But now it's like, I want to be around as long as I possibly can and as fit as possible so that I'm still doing the things.
Yeah.
I was teaching my class the other day and thinking to myself, I'm going to be 60 in a few months and I'm still, rolling around with 20-somethings. And I love that.
Yeah.
When I taught my daughter's class in Hawaii, to her teammates, I thought, how rad is that I'm, this old lady doing this stuff, Yeah. But that's what we hope for, right? We want to be able to do as much as we possibly can. And even if you don't have kids, still you want to show up as the best version of you.
Yeah.
And that it's not all vanity. It's how you're feeling day in and day out. Like you said, the kind of energy levels that you have, how you're able to deal with, because the stressors get bigger as we get older, right?
Yeah, they get scarier, they get more intense.
Yes, more is on the line.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's I think a lot, like my husband will say, that is my decompression time.
Yeah.
He goes in the garage, or if that's where he goes to one of the classes at Raw, and he sweats it out. That's his decompression time.
Yeah.
He needs that for his stress levels. So I'm like, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
Because when you are trying to be the provider, there's a lot on your shoulders.
Yeah. There's a ton on the shoulders.
Yeah. So.
This is for younger listeners. I don't know if we have a lot of younger listeners.
I don't know if we do either, but that's okay.
But I watch some of these younger people in my gym. They're doing things to look a certain way now.
Yeah.
Not realizing the negative impact it's going to have when they get to be older.
Sure.
And I asked, I'm like, why are you doing that?
Are you talking about injections?
I'm just talking about, there's all kinds of things that can be done to enhance how the human body looks
right.
in the moment.
Yeah.
But over the long haul, if you're not careful with it, could be very damaging. And I remember having I told one, I'm like, why are you doing that now? Because when you're my age, it's not going to be pretty. He's like, well, that's a long ways away. I'm like, no, it's not. Like,
you say that now.
It'll be here before you know it.
Yeah.
And so what's happening is I'm seeing so many young people, because of the obsession with trying to show how they look on Instagram and social media and all that stuff, they're doing things in their early 20s that are going to be detrimental to themselves when they're my age. When you get to be our age, you want to look great, move well, and have a lot of energy.
Yeah.
You don't want to look like shit. You don't want to have bad joints. You don't want to have your hormones completely destroyed because you were chasing a certain look when you were young. I pray for that for these people.
But I think would you have listened to some guy 30 years
old?
old?
No, hell no. And that's I say it knowing they're not going to listen to it.
Yeah.
When I was
shut
young,
up, old man.
when I was there was a big no-no, a big scariness around drugs.
Sure. You're talking about steroids. Is what you're talking
steroids,
about.
just drugs in general. It was a scary thing.
Yeah.
You didn't do that because you knew it was going to be bad for you. I mean, people still did it, but there was just this thing around it where it was very bad. And now it's not. That's not, stigmatism is not there. Like, it's very being promoted a lot. And it's fine. Like, I mean, people do what you got to do, but I'm just telling you, you got to think about the future when you make these choices to do these certain things.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I chose to exercise like crazy in my 20s and 30s, like 2-3 workouts a day, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
In my mid-30s, I completely destroyed my metabolism.
Yeah.
My whole hormonal, everything just collapsed. And I've never been the same since. I would give anything to go back and not be that idiot that was doing those things that was detrimental to myself.
Youth is wasted on the young is one of my favorite quotes.
Yeah, 100%. It's the same thing as I was just choosing to train like a moron.
Right. But if someone had come up to you and said, hey, Brad.
I probably would not listen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we all have to get there on our own time.
But at that point, I would be like, no, you don't understand. Like, the more fit you are, the healthier you are.
Exactly.
Like, I really bought that.
Hey, bruh.
Hey, bro. Come on. You're jealous because you just don't, you're not as committed to your training as I am. So it's just hard when vanity's the focal point of fitness and taking care of ourselves. There's so much being missed of the power of it.
Right.
And it breaks my heart when someone's like, this isn't working. I've only lost so much weight, or my body fat isn't where it should be. This isn't working. But it's like, wait a minute. You're way stronger. You're way more fit. Yeah. You're way less stressed. Like, you're sleeping better. You're going to the bathroom, consistently.
Regularly.
Yeah. Like, how is this not working? Well, because I don't look how I think I should look.
Yeah. But we've talked about this so many times. That is the marker. Yeah. That is the marker. Do you have six-pack or not?
Yeah.
Is the marker.
Yeah.
And, I fight with that still in my head. It's so weird.
Yeah.
To think about that that's the one thing that we're going to, is your waist this tiny little thing and you have this big booty?
Yeah.
I mean, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
But I get it. Everybody wants to have the look that they think that they should. Even if they look phenomenal, they want to look different.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
I've seen that a lot over the years.
So I don't know. It's tricky. It's tricky.
And what's funny is like 10 years later, you look back at that picture and be like,
oh my God, I've said it already.
I should have been so happy when I looked like that.
I know.
Yeah.
I've already done that.
Yeah.
I've already done that. And, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, even 5.
Yeah.
You have to be grateful for where you are in the stage you are.
Yeah.
Because I have to get it through my thick skull that in my 60s, I'm not going to look the way I did in my 40s.
Right.
Nearly impossible.
Yeah.
So, I can be a great version of me in my 60s, but probably not going to compete with my 40-year-old self.
No, none of us are.
Yeah.
It's part of aging.
Right. And I so want to grasp and just really be okay with that.
Yeah.
I really do. In my head, I'm like, yes, I'm going to be that person. It's hard. And especially where we live, Brad.
Oh, yeah.
If we lived in some remote area, that probably wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
But we don't.
Right.
We live where everyone's beautiful and everyone's, if they're not beautiful, they're going to make themselves beautiful. You know what I mean? So
there's a lot of options.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. It's tricky.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to just be self-content.
Yeah.
And to run your own race. I used to have a client that would say to me, row your own boat.
Yeah.
And that's so true. You got to stay out of the way of other people. They're doing their thing. They've got their ish. They're dealing with all their demons. We have no idea.
Yeah.
We row our own boats. Row our own boats.
You ever notice how hard it is just to sit there and say, I am so proud of myself?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
I had one of my therapists, he looked at me, because I beat myself up a lot.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, when you were 18, still living in Oregon, or, senior year of high school.
Yeah.
What would that Brad think of who you are now? If you trained all these professional athletes, you've written a book, you've owned a gym, you've traveled the world speaking, like you've worked with this athlete, that athlete. Did that Brad think this was ever going to happen?
Wow.
He goes, what would that Brad think? I'm like, oh shit, he'd be blown away.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, why can't this Brad be blown away as well? Well, because this Brad should be doing this, and this, and this. He's like, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm asking.
Such a great point.
Yeah. If 18-year-old Brad would be so proud of you and your accomplishments.
Yeah.
I mean, you came from a town that no one's ever heard of, like, and you built yourself into this.
Right.
Why can't you be proud of yourself for that?
Yeah. That's because it's hard.
Oh, it's
hard.
super hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just noticed people struggle with that as well.
Of course.
And I don't know if there's an answer to that one, but.
No, I think it's also part of, we would never talk to our friends the way we talk to ourselves.
Yeah, 100%.
And that one smacks, you in the face. It's like, oh God, it's true.
Yeah.
You would never go, God, you look so fat, so terrible, so this, so that. You would never say that to someone you cared about.
100%.
And, I always have also loved the statement that, the longest relationship you will have is with yourself.
Yeah.
So make it a good one.
Yeah.
So it's challenging. And that's also part of a comeback in my eyes.
Yeah.
Getting to the point where we do have self-love.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like this cheesy sort of out there concept. Oh yeah, sure, self-love, whatever.
Yeah.
But we all need to have it. We all need to have it.
Yeah.
Because how can you take care of a body that you hate?
100%. You're constantly beating it up to change how it looks. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So look at this. Comeback after comeback after comeback.
It's pretty much what life is.
I know.
It's a marathon of little comebacks and big comebacks.
Yeah, exactly.
And then building the resilience in between them to survive the next one.
For sure. I
think we end there.
Okay. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Raquel. That was fun.
Yeah. See you next week.
All right.